Yesterday, a report was released in the UK concerning the dire state of the energy situation in the country. This was a report by Offshore Energies UK, and it says that we now import 40% of the oil and gas that we need to use, and 11% of the electricity that we need to use is imported in undersea cables, coming mostly from France and the Netherlands. This is an absolutely shocking state of affairs, given that the United Kingdom is an island which is founded upon coal and it's surrounded by oil and gas in the North Sea. We should be energy self-sufficient, but we're not because of the idiocy of climate alarmism, which is being pushed by all of the parties in Parliament, which have been there but for a long time but don't deserve to be there, the fake Conservatives and Labour, who have ruled one after the other for a number of decades, as long as I can remember. What the report says is that energy production has decreased in the UK by 2/3 since the year 2000, just in a very short space of time, 24 years. The demand for energy has gone down in the UK over the same period of time by 1/3, but the production has gone down even more than the demand. Now, the fact that demand has gone down is no cause for celebration, because the reason why demand for energy has gone down is because we have decimated our manufacturing sector and outsourced our manufacturing industry in almost every area to countries like China and Indonesia and Bangladesh and so on. So we're left with very, very little good manufacturing industry. We heard last month that Tata Steel, an Indian company that owns the steelworks in Port Talbot in South Wales, is closing down the blast furnaces and just going to go to an operation where it recycles steel. So for the first time since the Industrial Revolution, the nation where the Industrial Revolution started in the 18th century does not have the capacity to produce its own high-quality steel. That is an indictment on our industrial policy and our energy policy. And it's been done because some bean counters somewhere in government who are adherent to the nonsense of climate alarmism think this is a good thing because we're going to use less carbon and we're going to produce carbon dioxide, as though carbon dioxide is some kind of harmful gas, when it's not. Anyone who works in agriculture and horticulture can tell you that they increase the levels of carbon dioxide in greenhouses and glass houses to way, way above what is there in the atmosphere, so that fruits and plants grow quicker and we get bigger and juicier fruit to eat, which sustains us in our supermarkets. Now, since 2014, this current government has decimated our coal production. There were 14 coal power stations in 2014 producing 40% of the energy that we need for our electricity generation. Those have almost all been closed. There's only 3 left, and they're all due to close by 2025. Indeed, one of the government ministers actually posed in front of a power station in Ferrybridge in West Yorkshire, pressed a button and demolished it. And he said, and he was smiling like a Cheshire cat, as though he'd done some good thing, when actually that was just a symbol of how they are destroying our energy infrastructure. Now, the alternatives which are being created to make up the shortfall by destroying the capacity to produce energy from carbon-based fuels are not worth the paper that, or the money that is given to them, and they don't produce any energy at all when the wind stops blowing and very little when the sun stops shining. And they could cause all kinds of terrible environmental issues where they are put in. Solar farms, for example, are unwanted by anybody who lives in the country. Just last week, we heard that there are plans to create a 4 square mile solar farm, the biggest of its kind in the UK, in rural Wiltshire, on prime agricultural land, decimating the farmland and whatever agricultural industry goes on there. And again, it's not going to produce much energy. Another insane thing, if you think that solar and wind are bad enough, the current policy du jour is to build battery energy storage systems all around the country. And these are spoken of and talked up as though they are going to be the solution to our energy crisis, because they will be able to generate 30 gigawatts of energy by 2030, which would keep us going on a summer's day. The thing is, though, they don't produce their own energy. It has to be created somewhere else by a carbon-based energy power station. And they also don't have enough energy stored to keep the country going for very long at all. At the moment, we have 2.4 gigawatts of battery storage systems. That's the power rating, with 2.6 gigawatt hours of energy stored in them. If you do a quick calculation, that tells you that all the battery energy storage systems we have in the country at the moment will run out of energy in precisely 1 hour and 3 minutes. It's not going to keep the country going at all. We need to get back to reliable and continuous energy: coal, oil, nuclear, and gas. Any government or any agency or NGO that tells you different is deceiving you. And I wonder if they're related to a lot of people who are making an awful lot of money by putting up infrastructure which isn't going to provide our energy and is going to cause blackouts in the future in the United Kingdom. This is today's News Talk, TNT.
Bringing you a world view.
I like to hear what's going on around the world.
Today's News Talk Radio, TNT.